Hi. Well, some time ago I made a video for a class that I was teaching with about 30 people in it, and I just left it up there. And then several thousand hits later, I was surprised by the number of people that clicked on it. Although the number of people that actually seem to go through the entire thing is very limited. In fact, most of the people that go through the entire thing seem to be from the Middle East or India or someplace like that rather than the United States or the UK. So, and I was also given a number of very challenging questions that really made me think. And that was a great thing because that's what education is all about these days. It's rather not to try to indoctrinate you, but to try to get you to think. So one of the things that I think is a little confusing to undergraduates, and that's really the focus of my videos. I'm not like an expert on Plato. I'm not an expert on anything really. I just I was very surprised by the number of hits that I got. So does Plato have a doctrine? In my graduate education in philosophy at City University of New York, I think the message that I got was no. Plato opened a school, and he used the Republic as one of the books to kind of help advertise the school. And given the history that Socrates was killed for, apparently, ostensibly trying to indoctrinate people, I don't think Plato's opening a school that says, "Here, I'm going to indoctrinate people with something." It was very open-ended. Aristotle went there. He had astronomers who went there. It was became quite a famous school. Now, in the dialogues, is there a hidden meaning? Yes, I think there's. It calls for a lot of analysis. But is there a definitive meaning? I have a tendency to think no. The text, the exercises, the mental exercises that the dialogues represent are ways to help teach people. And so Plato used these questions and these examples, the analogies or icons, if you like, of the sun, the line, and the cave as ways to stimulate thought. Certainly that is the way that we use them in undergraduate education today. I made no pretense about giving you a definitive meaning of any of these things. So that was my approach. Not a specific doctrine, but something for you to think about. One thing that does come up a lot, though, is the idea of the scale of being. Now that, I think, Plato does adhere to, and I think it was a great inspiration for all the thinkers that followed. One of the most interesting things from my point of view is the way that the mind can access the various stages in the scale of being. And later on, thinkers in the Islamic world thought, there's a kind of a gap here. We can have some inkling of what it is like to know the good, but surely our minds are not capable of understanding the good or God, as it later became transformed into during the religious thinkers. There needs to be minds that are greater than ours in order to maintain the continuity of the scale of being, the kinds of beings that actually exist. So this was the impetus for the invention, if you like, of angels, although there are guardian spirits, perhaps even angels in Plato's dialogues. There's a reference to them. All right, so there are undergraduate exercises that can be done using the sun, the line, and the cave. One of the exercises that a friend of mine came up with, which is commonly used, is you compare the cave to other things in our environment. You may have noticed that the cave is very much like sitting in a dark room with light coming from behind you. What's that like? Well, it's like going to the theater. So compare, for example, Plato's Cave with a real movie, like the Truman Story. That, if you take some time to analyze that, you'll find the parallels are quite significant. Another thing you might do is talk about who are the puppet masters in the cave. In the real world today, who are these people? What do they think? Why don't they leave the cave? What are the chains in the cave? They're not real physical chains, obviously. What are they supposed to represent? So these are things that are discussed often in undergraduate classes, and I hope that you will use the right kinds of resources to help you develop answers for that. Now, that's the real point of what I wanted to say. Read classic resources. Why people are clicking on videos made by no-names to get information about their reading assignment on Plato or whatever, I don't know. I don't think it's entirely a good thing. So you can read Alan Bloom's translation, which made a big splash a few years ago, of the Republic. That's an interesting one because he uses only one word in English for one word in Greek. Another great resource is A.E. Taylor's book, quite old, but when I was in undergraduate school, considered one of the definitive resources, still a really great read. There are so many books on Plato, you can pick up one on almost any aspect of Plato. Here's one that's on the topic just of participation, by Charles P. Bigger. So there was a whole graduate course on that at one of the schools I went to. Here's one, Plato, not Prozac. That's not a classic philosophical resource, but it would be a great topic in an undergraduate course where you want to see if you can apply Plato's philosophy, his psychology, his metaphysics to contemporary problems. And here's somebody who tried to work that out. So you could look at that. So if it were me, I wouldn't click on the internet first. I would go to the library first and look at the books that have been handpicked by your librarian to be the best definitive resources on the topic, and then I would go and start clicking around on the internet and see what I could find and see if there's some interesting materials out there. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope that it may be an interesting correction or a supplement to what I've already put up.